Hello, kia ora, and welcome to the 10th episode of the People Helping Nature podcast, brought to you by Conservation Amplified. We're your hosts. I'm Anna.
And I'm Callum, and we're doing something a little bit different today. Normally, we would have a guest on who is an expert in their field of conservation, and we would go deep on their specific topic of interest. However, it's the 10th episode, the 10th anniversary since we launched this a few months ago. So we thought, let's take a look on our journey today. Let's look at what we've learned, our insights, some changes we're making based on your feedback, and what's coming up on the horizon. So really excited to get into it. But before we do, let's touch base on why are we even doing this in the first place? Like, why are we producing this podcast?
Well, the mission of Conservation Amplified, it's really all about bridging the gap between conservation and the people. So there's a lot of amazing conservation mahi, so conservation work going on in New Zealand. And let's face it, some of those people are the most inspiring people that you ever meet, and they have amazing knowledge. However, most of the everyday New Zealanders just really don't know what's going on, and as we all know, if we don't talk about something, we're not aware, and if we're not aware, we're not going to care about something and make and support big changes. So that's what we're really trying to achieve. It's creating a platform for people to share.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, most of us conservationists, we're not ones to get on the mic and talk about it. So if we can build an easy place for people to share their stories, then that's cool. And that'll help more people to be involved in conservation. So let's take a look at the key learnings. What have we taken away from the guests we've had on today? Do you want to start?
Well, my key learning is that it's essentially all about the people, right? So we're all different, and that kind of translates into how we're looking at conservation. And there's like one key question we ask every single guest, which is, what does conservation mean to you? And so far, we've had some amazingly interesting answers, but we've never had any repetition of anything or about it. Like, it's such a diverse range, and that's amazing to amplify that, and also realizing that that's amazing, and that's what we need to be. We need to connect where we're all at and then try and find solutions for our biodiversity.
Yeah, I think it's amazing. I'm really using the word amazing today. I think it's really fascinating how every guest we've had on so far has had a different meaning of what conservation means to them. I certainly went into this thinking that we all share a pretty similar view of what it means to help nature, what that looks like in action and principle and in the way you view it. But it turns out that I couldn't have been further from the truth. We all have a different perspective. And so understanding the different perspectives has been such a game changer in terms of our learning about conservation and about how to help nature.
No, totally. And I've learned a lot so far from our guests. We've interviewed guests who are working in conservation from a private landowner perspective, from a community perspective, but also a hunting-led project. And it's just so fascinating how it's all really coming together to achieve a greater goal.
Yeah, I think coming down to my key learning, a lot of the people that are actively involved in conservation are doing it for the greater good. They're doing it for the needs of their local ecosystem or a species they're protecting or some other reason to be involved. But to get more of New Zealand and more of the world by extension actively involved in conservation, we need to step back and ask, what's in it for me? What is going to make them curious? What kind of breadcrumbs do we need to leave so that they might find something that appeals to their interests, but then they can start getting more involved in making it part of their identity? I think as conservationists, we're really guilty of not making it what's in it for the person. We've all received that letter in the mail that says this species or this habitat's going to go extinct if you don't email your politician and donate money to us and take all these drastic measures. And that's really important. Like, we need to have people that are on the front line protecting from major destruction, but that doesn't create a community of people actively, constructively getting involved. in the long term, because, you know, eventually you feel like it's not the best way to build that community. So we figured, yeah, let's just share the positive stuff going on. And I think so far there's been quite a few comments from people saying how they didn't realize what was happening in their backyard, or didn't realize a lot of the stuff that we've been sharing, which is really inspiring.
It totally is. I think conservation has a huge problem of creating that awareness. You know, it's a space that's really tight for funding. So a lot of people are just really focused to get the work done, forgetting to talk about it with the wider community. And that's, what we're hoping to change.
Yeah, it's always that mission between, do you prioritize communicating what you're doing or just getting more good work done? So what about our insights? Anna, do you want to kick it off? What is one insight you've had pulling back the curtain on your journey so far?
Well, so I'm one of those conservationists who sometimes is incredibly guilty of just bombarding people with facts, forgetting about their curiosity, and that's really what it's all about. So for me, it's been an amazing transformational journey coming out of my little niche of habitat protection and threatened species protection to step back from that. So I'm still doing that, and I love it. Incredibly important, makes me happy. But this big step back, zooming out and involving others and inviting them to share their stories, to do conservation communication, has been super enriching, really. It's sometimes a bit scary because you have to put yourselves in front of a microphone, but the learning has been amazing. The feedback has been really positive, and I love sharing those stories.
Yeah, I would love to imagine a day where it was super easy for conservationists like yourself, Anna, to do more of this. Like one thing that just came to mind as you were telling your insight was, imagine if there was an easy way for people to get on podcasts, to get in the media, to tell their stories, and that resulted in more funding. Like, just dreaming out loud here, but how cool would that be if it wasn't the exception to the norm, but it was the norm that these stories were shared?
And in a positive manner, right? Like, the media often thrashes conservation around, but there's so many cool solutions coming up. There's so much good happening in the space, and those are the stories we need to tell, and that's certainly what we're focusing on.
Absolutely. So my insight is just like the mechanics behind the scenes of bringing a podcast to life. In my private work, I help companies to grow through content marketing. That's like, I guess you could call making a podcast content marketing. But all of my work to date has been on written stuff, like blogs and websites and emails. And so just seeing how all the mechanics we're setting up behind the scenes has been interesting. When we launched, we set a launch date. We said we're going to launch by this time, and we're going to have 8 episodes recorded. We'll have 4 live. We'll have 4 on the back end. And we set up just the basics we needed to get started. And so seeing this journey of launching with the minimum we needed to start, and then starting to set up all the systems, the processes, learning how to get better at editing, and just really like stepping up the product, what we're putting out, making reels, getting that in front of you. That has been fascinating. So I think, just to summarize where we're at, when we first started, we needed to launch. If we didn't, we'd still be talking about this in 12 months. And
with no results, really.
With no results.
You wouldn't even know we exist.
And now we're recording our 10th episode. So it was important to just get started and put it what we thought was pretty good, but not getting too precious about it. And then and getting that out there. And secondly was just that consistency, like fortnightly publishing of content, socials live every week, like emails going out. That's really important. So now that we're up to that stage, it's time to get better at things. So we're looking for ways to improve, to make it more engaging, get more out of the guests, all this fun stuff. So if you have feedback and you think that we can do better, we want to know, because this is about you, this is about the community, and it's about nature. And if we can do a better job, then we can get better results.
And we've been getting some amazing, lovely feedback already. So thank you to everyone who's reached out to us. It was really, really helpful. And there's a few key things that we're looking at improving based on that feedback.
Yeah, so the first one is our introduction. we hear you. We understand it has room to improve. Today, we've just been taking one of the best snippets from the episode, playing that of the guest talking, and then going into the funny little jingle we've got. But that's going to get better. So watch this space.
And also, we're aware that you want to see more of the shortcut reels on social media. So that's also coming. But I think we a little bit underestimated all of the work that it takes to be consistent on that. But keep your eyes open. They'll be rolling in shortly.
Yeah, that's it's all a learning curve, right? So we're learning and having fun. And the final one is that we plan to launch on more channels like Apple Podcasts. When we started, it was just in the too hard basket. There was too much going on. So now that we've got a bit more space, we're looking to get into more places and share the story more widely so that you can tune in where it suits you best. So awesome to see the changes. Please keep your feedback coming through. It really helps to make this podcast as good as it can be for you. But let's take a look at what we have on the horizon. I don't know, what do we have coming up? What's in the next few months can you expect to see?
Well, I'm really excited that we are about to launch a video that we've been working on about the Campbell Island. So as some of you might know, Campbell Island is one of New Zealand's subantarctic islands. And it is pest-free these days, which is thanks to a huge eradication program that they did there. So it's kind of the forerunner to Predator-Free 2050 that kind of proved that large-scale pest-free work is possible. And we were fortunate enough to visit that island. So we're just going through the final edits to then share that story with you and hopefully reconnect you guys to one of the New Zealand's, true unique wild places that we still have.
Yeah, so it's been in production for, I'd say, 8 to 10 months now. We've done a lot of edits, but it's going to be really cool. So it's looking to be roughly 25 to 30 minutes, going in depth with experts, all that fun stuff. So watch this space. That will be there soon. On another point that we've got upcoming, or I guess that has been in place lately, when we were called the Reforestation Fund, which was the name of Conservation Amplified before we started the podcast, we were raising money from brands and donating that to plant native forests, help look after our native forests. So we've funded one tree planting in particular so far.
Yes, exactly. So winter is usually planting season here in New Zealand, and we contributed to a planting in the Bay of Plenty, so where we're based, and we planted so-called forever trees. So those are the canopy trees that are going to grow and be around, providing habitat for hundreds of years to come. So that was super exciting to support a local farmer to reforest his farm, which has the potential to be part of Kokako corridors in the future, which is super exciting.
Yeah, so we got to plant some on the day, and just seeing the passion of this farmer, he's really an inspiration. We're working on getting him on an episode, but we're also working on a little video of the planting day. So watch this space. That might be a little bit after we've published the Campbell Island episode, but we shall see. We've also funded a group in the Banks Peninsula called the Le Bons Bay Conservation Trust. They are working to buy back a piece of land and turn that into a conservation block and reforest that land and do some really cool stuff. And it's been endorsed by Haniway Reserve, which is a group that we're really fond of. They're just doing really great stuff for biodiversity down in Canterbury. So, that is really nice. But that's where we've been putting the money. We've got a little bit more funding, which we've allocated to do some plantings next year. And once that comes out, we'll tell you all about it then.
Exactly. So to wrap up, please let us know what you think of this new format, and if you want us to do that more often, say every 10th or 20th episode. And also, if you've got some feedback, please keep it coming in. We'd love to improve our podcast to ensure it's the best as it can be.
Yeah, and if you do like what we're doing here, reviews really make a big difference in helping to reach new people. So if you like what we're about, please leave a review on Spotify saying what you think of it, and other people can read that and start listening. It helps the algorithm. And if you want to be the first one to hear about the new episodes when they come live, head to our website, conservationamplified.org, Somewhere over that website on most pages, you'll find an email sign up form. Drop your email address in there, and then you'll be the first to hear about new episodes when they come live.
And last but not least, if you know someone amazing who is doing some great mahi, some great work to help nature, please direct them our way. We'd love to share their story.
Yeah, but as a final thank you, I guess, is to you, the listener. Really appreciate you being along on the journey. It is definitely a journey is a good way of putting what we're doing, because we're learning, and I think the whole conservation space is learning how to communicate better as a whole. So, yeah, thanks for listening. Thanks for being around. And as always, pleasure to be here and help nature.
And see you next time. Thank
Adios.
you.
Au revoir. Auf Wiedersehen.
Kia ora.
Kia ora.